beat well if we handle the globe, because we now have a global village.
Ending underage gambling in Enugu State. Today, we gather as one government officials, educators, parents, civil society organizations, and most importantly, our young people, united in purpose to confront one of the fastest growing threats to our children, underage gambling. This menace is creeping silently into our homes, communities, and schools. It erodes values, disrupts learning, and exposes our children to moral, psychological, and social harm. Permit me to share a moment that sparked the urgency for this initiative. One afternoon while driving through a neighborhood in Enugu, I saw a group of boys gathered outside a betting shop. One of them couldn't have been more than 10 years old. He stood beside an older teenager who appeared to be guiding or watching over him. As I slowed down to observe, I couldn't help but think, that child looks familiar. Something about him reminded me of someone I might know, perhaps my child or even a relative. I parked and approached the shop. I asked the owner, "Do you not care how these children get the money to place bets?" His response was deeply troubling. Some of them do menial jobs. But we know it doesn't end there. Some children lie, others steal, and many are drawn into the circle of secrecy and shame just to fuel a habit they do not even fully understand. Even worse, many of the betting platforms they access exposes them to inappropriate and often pornographic content, dragging them further into moral and emotional decay. That moment struck me deeply. It revealed how entrenched and normalized this problem has become, and how easy it is for us adults to look away, or worse, to enable it through silence. Let us be clear. When children become entangled in gambling, they lose far more than money. They lose time, trust, focus, and in some cases, their future. They slip through the crack, join dangerous peer groups, fall behind in school, and often become entangled in crime, substance abuse, or violence. But today, I bring you hope, a call to action. Under the visionary leadership of His Excellency, Dr. Barrister Peter Simba, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, we are drawing a firm line. Through this flagship program, we are boldly declaring no more underage gambling in Enugu State. So then repeat after me. No more underage gambling in Enugu State. This is not just a campaign. It is a movement to reclaim the innocence of our children. Any operator found allowing a minor to gamble knowingly or unknowingly will face strict sanctions. This includes the suspension or outright revocation of license. Our children are not for exploitation. Their safety is non-negotiable. To this end, I am calling on the Enugu State Gaming Commission to partner fully with the Ministry of Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development in ensuring that every gaming outlet across the state is closely monitored and strictly regulated. There will be no safe space for non-compliant operators. This administration will not fold its arm while our children are drawn into darkness. I am deeply grateful to all school principals, teachers, and students who are here with us today. Your presence is a beacon of hope. You are the torch bearers of this campaign, not just in this room, but across your school and communities. As you know, each school was asked to send 20 students to participate in this program. But this is just the beginning. I strongly urge all teachers and all school leaders here today to step this message down. Take it back to your classrooms, share what you've learned, help your students understand the danger behind the flashing screens and tempting promises of betting programs. And most importantly, give them the confidence to say no. Together we will build an Enugu state where every child is protected, every school is a sanctuary, and every community is watchful and alert. Once again, I truly warmly welcome you all.
Just talk briefly about gambling and its inherent dangers. When you say gambling, I think it's important to understand basically what it is. And gambling is when a person gives something of value, in this case money, away in the hope of winning a prize, again in this case more money than they put in, and this is usually by luck or by chance. Now, on the face of it, perhaps it's harmless, but in this case, we're talking about underage gambling. And this is when minors, persons below the age of majority, now get involved in gambling. And here are some of the issues with this. The first question that comes to mind is, where does an underage person get the money to gamble with? Where do they get the money from? And then that suggests that something has gone wrong. It's either they've stolen that money, because, an underage person is not expected to have money, let alone money for gambling. So you begin to see the issues, the problems, the dangers behind underage gambling. Or maybe even worse, you can say the child has been working. Again, we're talking about another child rights issue. Child labor, maybe that's where they got the money from. That's another problem. And it becomes a slippery slope. An underage person is involved in gambling. You begin to talk about gambling addiction, because when you get involved in such a thing so early in life, when you've not been able to establish the importance of financial management, you don't yet know how to work, earn money, manage that money, and put it to good use. And you play the game, perhaps you win. The adrenaline rush that comes from that becomes something you cannot overcome. And soon you become overwhelmed by it. When you're a gambling addict, now you go on to sell the TV in your house to get money to gamble. You might even sell your clothes. They send you to school, you're not in school, you go away to play these games. And these are some of the dangers inherent in underage gambling. And so I want to commend the Ministry of Children, Gender and Social Development for this initiative, for kickstarting this campaign. I want to thank His Excellency the Governor, ably represented by the learned Attorney General.
I was able to deduce that he said that these children, while we are doing this program of underage gambling, to put a halt to it, he said that we should look at these people, the children, as victims, and not that they are the real suspects. And that is where I want to take my keynote from. The Commission entrepreneurs. We shouldn't be looking at just financial gains, because this is where some of our challenges are coming from. The entrepreneurs who are in this business should make sure they put certain facilities to checkmate to checkmate when juveniles are patronizing those businesses. Most times, we often look at our gains without looking at where the source of these gains are coming from. We have to look at our parents. I recall when I was younger, our parents those days made so much input to make us what we are today. All of us seated here in the front seats. If our parents didn't do well to make us a better person, I'm sure we would have been either street boys or street girls. But today, most parents have left those duties for the teachers. It is not the duty of the teachers because there's what we call fundamental that must be done before you push your child to school. Our parents must do the needful. Why we do that? Because of want of time, we look at, please, the youth presidents. Very important that they have to do a lot of sensitization to ensure that the youth do the needful in various communities, churches, wherever we are. We have youth leaders. Then we need to ensure whether school or churches, skill acquisition. Those days we do brooms, we do a whole lot of things in school that they tell you, go and do things you bring to the school to present as act work. I don't know how much we are putting in that, but I belong to a group in the social media group where His Excellency has done a lot, ensuring that the youths of Enugu State are learning one trade or the other. That is quite impressive. It's on that note, I'm trying to wrap it up to tell you that the police will not hesitate to do everything possible to ensure that there is peace in Enugu State. We have had several cases where the youths, you see a child of 10 years, 12 years, 15, killing another student. We've had serious cases like that. We will continue to do the best we could through the PRO, public of the Nigerian police force, to sensitize people, to sensitize the citizens, so that they will know that certain things, irrespective of the age, we know that these children are juvenile. As such, lawyers here will understand what I mean by mens rea and actus rea. That's when a child has no mens rea and actus rea. But nonetheless, the first thing first is that we must have to give our children proper training and proper education.
Bring in, collate their viewpoint. Let them voice their challenges. Let them voice some of the risk factors from their own experience and inspire them to be the champions of underage gambling in their schools, in their streets, in their communities. So His Excellency hopes that at the end of today's engagement, we should have clear, time-based, achievable action plans, next steps on how to cascade the resolutions, the findings, the recommendations, the things that we will do at our various levels to ensure that we counteract, that we redress this menace of underage gambling. Of course, in every society, every season, you discover that they have their challenges facing them. In our own time, my own time, gambling was not the issue. That time, nobody had even GSM phones. But now, with phone, you have access to gambling apps and all. So we should live up to the responsibility of this current modern age and ensure that we deal with the responsibility that the reality has thrust into our hands. So I hope, Honorable Commissioner, that we'll be able to have actionable steps, next steps, to take whatever outcomes of today's meeting to our various schools so that it doesn't end here. I hope that can be taken as a resolution in this meeting, right? Thank you very much. And of course, His Excellency also brings greetings to the organization partnering with Enugu State Government to make this day to be a reality, Mind Africa. And not just Mind Africa, from different parts of this hall, you could see servicemen, those from the Correctional Service, from the Nigeria Police, and I believe other security agencies that are all partners in law enforcement. And I believe also that you should have invited the neuropsychiatric hospital. Are they here? They are not here. We would certainly have to partner with as many stakeholders as possible because all hands must be on deck. It's everybody's responsibility. Underage gambling implicates security, health, general well-being of the society. So as you're addressing it, you discover that it would have its impact on security, have impact on health, especially mental health. So all hands should be on deck. Parents, teachers, youth leaders, NGOs, of course, security agencies, and of course, the Honorable Attorney General will also play his role. In crafting tailor-made legislation to ensure that from the point of view of regulation, that we have laws that will certainly give sufficient powers to the Gaming Commission to handle underage gambling. And of course, take other measures, legal measures, to ensure that those that encourage, that are, of course, that are not even underage persons, that encourage this would face the sanction of the law. I would do my bit. All of us will certainly do our bit. Thank you very much. So students, this is for you. This event is for you. Just know how important you are. 99% of participants here are students, right? From their uniforms. So this is for you, just to ensure you how important you are to us, especially under the administration of His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndobi Simba, the governor of Enugu State. So distinguished commissioners, heads of the various security agencies here present, heads of government parastatals, particularly of Enugu State Gaming Commission, youth leaders, religious leaders, development partners, members of the media, students here present, ladies and gentlemen, we meet today in solemn unity and shared resolve to confront a growing menace, underage gambling, which not only endangers our children, but corrodes that very foundation of our society and fuels criminal behaviors. It is no longer a private matter. It is a public crisis with alarming ripple effects. You see this manifesting a youth drug dependency, thievery, area boys extortion, school dropout, and its worst, violence. The Enugu state government is responding with strength, clarity, and vision. Since November 2024, our state has adopted a zero tolerance stance to underage gambling. Through the Gaming and Lottery Commission, we've dismantled unlicensed operations of gambling outlets in the state. It is important we note the effect of dismantling unlicensed gambling operators. Because if you license, then you are able to monitor, you are able to execute compliance with rules, which includes no to underage gambling. So we've also rolled out cutting-edge technology to monitor compliance for those that have been licensed and to ensure that those that have not been licensed are not allowed to operate. Of course, you agree with me that this is progress. But we intend to build on this foundation with originality, outreach, and true political will. Regulation alone is not enough. The societal courts that shape a young person's life, that is school. You heard me mention societal courts, right? Societal courts. So it's not just regulation, but other things. And I mentioned societal courts. So what are these societal courts? The schools, the family, the community, and all these must marshal their influence in addressing this menace. Education must speak louder than allure. Mentorship must counter compulsions. Creativity must displace temptations. That is why, in addition to regulations, we've launched the initiative of the Green Smart Schools in the 260 political wards across the state. Can we please give a round of applause? And this is not just numbers. This is preparing for the future. This is not to score political mark. This is thinking about the next generation. All the 260 were actually even expanded. Yes, especially for the city. We're giving more numbers to the city. So it's not just numbers. It's that in each of the Green Smart Schools, we've lined up pedagogy, lined up activities, lined up infrastructure, equipment, farms that would keep students busy. In fact, from primary school all through just 3 in our state. So you see them being exposed to robotics, augmented reality, and all manner of cutting-edge technology learning, AI. And this is done with fun. so that it will not be like when we used to be taught mathematics in those days, and you approach with fear. No, it is done in such a way that teaching and learning could be gamified, so that students would enjoy learning while acquiring cutting-edge global skills that will make them compete favorably across the globe, that will take them away from activities like underage gambling that would have ordinarily taken their time, if not for the activities that we've embedded in the curriculum of our green smart schools. So we challenge our youth in these green smart schools, and of course it is free. Oh yes, it is free, accessible to everyone. It is free. You know, in Nigeria, if you are among the elites, the practice is that the children would normally go to private schools, but we're changing the paradigm. Because in our green smart schools, the teaching faculty, the pedagogy, the facilities, the ambience are far more enhanced, optimized than what you will find in the private schools. So in our green smart schools, would challenge you to design gamified applications that teach financial literacy, decision making, empathy, and other emotional skills. Not only will these divert energy from betting shops, but it will also equip our children with skills for a future reliant on chance. Our government is forging collaboration with the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Enugu to embed assessment and referral counseling in schools and youth clubs. Any minor found gambling will not be fined, under the watch of the Honorable Attorney General. Please, can you give a round of applause if you understand what this means? We understand that any underage person involved in gambling is not the criminal, but the victim. So that's why we'll not fine them. Rather, we'll do what? We'll support them. We'll help them with mental health screenings, mentorship, and structured alternatives. On the regulatory side, we're partnering with various entities towards implementing real-time ID and team checks, closing loopholes that allow exploitation of online betting. These are not simply best practices, they must become our law, and that's what we're doing through the Office of the Honorable Attorney General, working in sync with the Enugu State House of Assembly. We'll bring forward regulation in the next assembly session to mandate unique digital IDs for gaming participants. Enugu is not just shutting doors, we are also opening different beneficial ones. Through collaboration with the Commission, the Gaming Commission, we're exploring early stage corridors to develop gaming tourism, where hospitality meets creativity, tracking a tourism boom which would adhere to ethical bars. We will require that facilities bear the stamp of acceptance from local communities and guarantee no access to minors. We cannot win this fight alone, Our call to action is to every mother and father, every priest and imam, every traditional ruler, every adult in a society, every youth leader, a civil society organization, children rights advocate. Let's crank up the conversation. Let's begin to take steps to address this menace. At the radio station, in the church auditoriums, at the football field, talk to our children about how a gambling world is not their destiny. Let this struggle be not just about prohibition, but about inspiration. Underage gambling is not destiny, it is a choice of neglect, uninformed systems, and unchallenged complacency. Today, we embrace a vision where our children imagine a victorious tomorrow without rolling dice, where their only bets are on hard work, honest education, digital creativity, and tomorrow's prosperity, because truly our tomorrow is here.
No problem.
Here, we see Jake making a bet.
I take that anytime I'm here. Like, it's going to be yesterday. I'm like, oh, I understand. Sure. About beg, I don't want to make it. Can you give me 500? 500 naira for paper? I swear. No problem. Right, I told you the and your wine. I don't know now. I know. You need to bro. I want your money. I think I'll pay you. I pay you I'll pay you next week. No problem. You have been ignoring me. Why? I want your money. Now, what do you mean, guy? What do you mean? How have I been waiting? This is my money. Beat, don't beat. I'll pay your money. I got to a friend. We are friends now. Please now. Get out. Right, when you get the money, you can go. Please now. Oh God, what have I done? My fees more, school fees more.
Jake's mother enters the scene concerned.
How this morning is I just took a job.
Jake, I want to see you acting strange lately. What's going on?
Mom, nothing. I've just been stressed out from school.
I've noticed some suspicious transactions on your phone. Are you involved in online betting?
Betting? Me, no. Mom, trust me now. I'm not going.
I don't believe what you said.
Jake comes in carefully and starts to lament bitterly.
Oh my God, what have I done? How am I going to pay off all these things to cap? Bro, my friend's money, I've not even paid him. Oh, what am I going to do now? And the money they are using in the for is me that took it. How am I going to explain to my mother that I took this money? What this game was sure. What am I going to do now? God.
So, what is it? What's going on?
Oh get this far. I just needed quick.
I don't understand. What do you mean by quick cash?
I've been betting online.
Eh? You have been betting? Think so you're betting. So all this while you're the one taking the money at home and you tell us to blame the house boy to the point of chasing him out. God, may this boy have forgive me for what I've done. So Jane, you are the reason behind our problems.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just needed quick cash. I needed the money.
But Jake, you know that underage gambling can be a very serious problem.
I know. I'm sorry. I promise I'll forget again.
We will work this together, but you need to understand the risks and consequences.
Yes, Mom. I promise.
We are going to face this together.
Jake's story highlights
Today I've learned about the effects of underage gambling. I've learned how it has negatively impact our society, and I want to know how to make it a better place for young youth so they will make a very different impact on our future. First of all, they should employ and they should apply awarenesses in school. Then also for those who don't have the ability or the privilege to go to school, they should go to them, teach them, provide for them free education to be able to know the negative impact of this gambling at a young age. They should also give out books, inspirational books and novels, post them to school so be able to read for those who love reading. And also they should also train the teachers so they'll be able to get the impact of they should get the impact of putting in the education of youth into students in school.
Understand that underage gambling is a process whereby underage or minor age individuals engage themselves in gaming activities which takes valuable words from them and have a negative impact to the societal well-being. As a student, I understand that we should mold ourselves as anti-underage gamblers championships and help to orient to others and educate them about the effects and repercussions of underage gambling for the development and well-being of the society.
The issue of underage gambling, it affects youth physically and mentally because many students already engaging in underage gambling, they don't come to school, they don't read their books, they fail their exam, they go through classes again. So in my opinion, underage gambling is not good for youths of this age because it's a gateway of destroying their lives. If underage gambling should be eradicated from our society, they should create public awareness, all this type of awareness, so anyone anywhere can see it and know the dangers of underage gambling. Second, they should encourage authors to write more books preaching against underage gambling. They should allow children to know the dangers. They should provide cartoons or possibly movies that teach and eradicate underage gambling.
The problem of underage gambling is one that we must be very mindful of, and we must take every action to combat it and nip it in the bud as it begins to permeate society. I think you have the issue of, like I said, where are these kids getting the money to engage in the games that they play in this gambling, be it lottery or be it sports betting? Children, we're not expecting them to have money. So there's a problem already. If they have access to money to do is either they're stealing it or child labor is in play. The guardians must be alive to their duties. The teachers, those adults who are around them must be alive to their responsibilities to ensure that these young ones do not get involved in these things, because you can quickly snowball into a gambling addiction. I think government is already taking appropriate steps. Of course, more can be done and more will be done. In terms of the policies, the policies of the children, gender and social development in the state have already captured this, as far as the working document is concerned.
But yes, the legislation is going to, give bite to the commission's operations and its regulatory oversight. The commission is particular about not just underage gambling, but promoting responsible gambling. And what it entails, what it means is, making sure that you as an adult, you make informed decision, and you make sure that your moves and your decision as regards gaming are informed, and you're in control. You're in control of what you do, and you make sure that you don't exceed a certain limit. You don't get to the point where it becomes an addiction and it becomes problem, and not hinged entirely on the legislation. The commission is already doing, enough, of course, in line with global best practices. Now, what we do is in fact, to have a number of policies. One being that no betting outlet is allowed within 100 to 200 meters close to any school. Do you understand? Then, two, on no account must an underage person be seen in a betting in your environment, because these are what attracts outright selling, and closure of such things. So that is the kinetic approach we are taking to that in that area.
Flagged off a campaign to fight against underage gambling in Enugu State. And the essence is that is so obvious that a lot of our children had ventured into gambling, believing it is the easy way out. And most of them has derailed from their academics. And also, a lot of them had found themselves into a web or a circle of crimes that they don't know how to pull out themselves from. So that is the essence of this campaign, Flag Off. We are yet going to go down to the 17 local governments and visit the schools there to teach our children there is no short way to success. Hard work is the only way to make it in life. And gambling, no matter how pleasant or how attractive it is not the right way to go. A lot of them steals from their parents. A lot of them goes into crime. A lot of them do all sorts of things just to make sure that they get money to gamble. And the unfortunate thing about gambling is that it becomes a cycle. They can't pull away from it. They become addicted to it. And most times, they don't know even the implication of what they are getting themselves into. Most times, our parents are not even aware of what their kids are into until it is too late to draw them out of it. So the essence is to create awareness that underage gambling is not and will not be tolerated within Enugu State. Our children should concentrate and focus on their education. Look at what our governor is doing by bringing in the 265 smart schools in Enugu State. It is for the betterment of our children. It is so that our children will stand anywhere in the world and compete with any child or their peers. And we are not going to allow this menace of gambling, especially for the underage, to rip away the future that we anticipate for our children in Enugu State. Of course, that is why we have to catch them young, because a lot of adults that are into this gambling, they can't even explain how they get entangled into it. And we don't want that to happen to our children. Unfortunately, some parents encourages it, but it's not the right way to go. And we plead with our parents to take a step backwards and think about the future of their children. A lot of kids that get into crime, it's still their parents that pushes them. Their parents want their children to start making quick money. They tend to compare the lives of their children with the lives of others without knowing that they are not the same, and without even knowing what the other child is doing or does to get that means or that money the child is spending. We should allow our children to be children. Our children should carry their books and not bricks. These children, most of them, go out of their way to do menial jobs just to satisfy this urge of gambling. And that is why the Ministry of Children, Gender Affairs and Social Development in Enugu State, with the approval of the governor, decides to go onto this campaign to make sure that the future of our children are protected.